यार कहीं मेरी CGPA कम तो नहीं? Is my resume even up to the mark? Are mechanical students getting even placed? When the placement season approaches, it's common to have such tensions in mind. और हो भी क्यों ना, placements are one of the most important parts of students' life. On this special episode of After BTech series, we are inviting a guest who is graduated from VIT, currently working in KPMG, and has been a career coach for many students.
Firstly, I want to thank you for calling me over. Like I always say, it's a great pleasure to be coming back and speaking at any platform from your alumni college. So thanks for that. Coming to describing myself in my own words, or I would say the way I like to put it is, I think I am this person who wants to genuinely create an impact on the student and professional community via my initiative of the area Decodes. That's what I'm aiming to do. In general, I could say as a person, I'm somebody who loves public speaking, who loves interacting with people, and I love content creation. That is something I like to do on a personal level. And professionally, I'm working with KPMG as an associate consultant in the SAP domain. So I'm a technology consultant professionally. And I run my own talk show as well. And like I said, my own initiative of the area Decodes. So that's a bit about me. Yeah.
That's inspiring. So actually, people from VIT like me would be probably knowing you from a lot time behind. So from an electronics and communication undergrad, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
I had a question, first question actually.
Sure.
EC was your first choice for engineering, or did EC choose you?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question because I think I haven't revealed this at a lot of places, but so my parents, at least my mother, wanted me to take up CSE because of, the packages, the companies, and everyone knows about the placements. But I was very adamant that I don't want to do CSE. I was not sure which stream I wanted to do, but I was sure I didn't want to do CSE or IT. So then when, VIT puts up that list of all the available branches and they put up the number of seats left and everything, when you go for the physical counseling, I'm not sure if you guys had it, but yeah.
I had.
So when that happened, when I saw all of that and I did some basic research, so biotechnology, mechanical, civil did not really make sense to me. I didn't feel like I could do it. To be very honest, the only one which I felt I could do was EC when I read a little bit about it and I was like, okay, we'll do it. I can do it probably. And that's how I chose it. So it did not choose me. I kind of chose it consciously. But then things obviously turned out to be a little different because ultimately I'm not doing anything related to my stream. So that's a different story, but I chose it.
Okay. And one part of your journey that really astonishes me, and I guess it will surprise anyone, that you did 25 plus internships, right?
Yeah. Right.
So
Correct.
would you like to tell us more about that, and what was your thought process while you were going on doing 25 is a big number?
Yeah. I think in general in life, not just to say it, when you don't concentrate on the numbers, whether it's your number of followers, it's your number of internships, whatever it is, it's even the package of the company you're getting into. When you tend to not focus on the numbers come in automatically. I've always, it's happened with me at least, and I've been of this thought of school. So what really happened was my aim was to do different diverse internships. That was my aim. So that when I do different internships in the different management domains, I know myself, what am I good at? What can I do in the future as a full-time job? That was my aim. While doing it, one thing led to another, second internship, fourth internship, 10th, I never realized. And because the fact that people don't see is 25 internships is fine. But the only reason I was able to do it was because I was doing it in the areas I was passionate about or I enjoyed, or else doing 25 internships is not easy. Like if you tell somebody who hates coding to do 25 internships in web development, they'll be terrible or miserable by the end of it. They can't do it. So I think the reason I was able to probably achieve that number was also because firstly, I was doing multiple at a time because they were in different time zones. So I was able to manage. Secondly, they were in all the areas of management, and management is what I love doing and I wanted to explore. And that's why I think it was achievable. And thirdly, I did not start doing internships with the aim ki 25 internships, 25 internships I have to complete before graduating. Not at all. And that's why it happened so organically. So that was my journey, and most of them I landed through Internshala because back then no one told me about the importance of LinkedIn. I'm being very open. That's why I propagate it so much now, and I teach students now that you should utilize this platform. So all my internships were from Internshala. So that is all that I used. And yeah, faced lot of rejections. But then I think through that process, I learned what is it that these companies really look for in applications and how do you stand out and land an internship. So that was a great journey as well.
From this experience, I really want to squeeze in some points for first and second years. They like keep wondering how to find the internship opportunities.
So I think today, I mean, it's not far away also. I started looking for them in 2017 when I was in my second year of engineering. Even when I graduated last year, in fact, when I got a full-time job and internship with KPMG, but there was a significant gap because of the pandemic. So my offer got deferred by 2 months for the full-time job, right? So I had the job, that guarantee was there the day I got the internship, but I didn't have anything to do for 2 months. Even last year, from the period of July to September, that is when I became active on LinkedIn. When I came on LinkedIn, I thought that, see, job is already there. Everything else is fine. And I used to think you go to LinkedIn only when you're looking for a job. But still people told me you can create a personal brand, you can create content here, you can network with people, maybe you can land internships also. So that really excited me and I just signed up. And I mean, I already had an account. I started updating all my details and everything. So one thing I can tell you for sure is if you're looking for the most authentic platform today to get an internship, maybe back then, 2 years or 3 years ago, it would have been internship. I'm not saying it's not good even now, but I think LinkedIn has so many opportunities today. And it's not just a typical way that you go on LinkedIn and you find internships listed down and you apply to them. No, LinkedIn is all about networking. You get internships there by reaching out to the founders of startups, by reaching out to the HRs of companies, by cold emailing them, or by connecting with them and sending them good personalized invites, showing them your portfolio, your resume. And if they find it worthy enough, then they get back to you. So yes, the process is a lot more lengthier. It's not easy. There's no systematic process, streamlined flow that you will follow like you go on any internship seeking platform. But I think it's very authentic and it's very underrated. A lot of students don't utilize it. People think it's only for jobs. So I think LinkedIn is surely one platform you should go to. Follow the company pages of the startups and the companies you want to work with. They keep putting up their internship openings in the form of posts on their LinkedIn feed. If you don't follow their page, you won't be able to get notified about it, right? Subscribe to their job notifications. When you do that, by default, even if they put up an internship opening by mistake for a job opening, you will get intimated about it. And I think other than Internshala, I would say there is a platform which is called Stu Mags also. It's a great platform to look for internships. There's 2019 jobs. You get internships there. You get live projects there. Freelance opportunities are present there. You can apply. Hello Intern is also a very good platform. You get summer internship opportunities, winter internship, global internship opportunities also. So these are a few platforms you can go to. And yeah, I think cold emailing also works very well. Try and find out the email of the HRs or the respective person, founder or someone of a startup where you want to work. If they have an opening or not, do your research very well. Try to figure out the email and write a very good cold email with a good pitch, your resume, a video resume and a cover letter with a very good quirky subject line. So that people tend to reply to it, not a typical email which can get lost in a bundle of 1,000 emails. So those are a few ways you can look for an internship.
Being from a non-CS branch and working in Big Four as a SAP analyst, what do you think, the branch matters?
No, so I don't think that the branch really matters. And more so over when you take an offbeat career path altogether. So if from doing EC engineering, I'm going to become a management consultant, or after doing CSE engineering, I'm becoming a management consultant, it's anyways a career transition you're doing. Because it's not like you did CSE engineering and then you became a software developer. That's the generic career path that you're expected to take. So when you transition in your career, it honestly does not matter which branch you are from. But then I understand, like most of the people, you can't deny it. If you want to probably, get into becoming a, let's say, a web developer, or you want to become a QA analyst, or you want to get into software development engineering, or whatever, they will obviously prefer people from a CSE background. Having said that, I'm not saying if someone from EC is doing amazing coding, has got his or her concepts clear in the fundamental subjects like DSA, OS, and DBMS, they won't pick them up. They will. But still, the majority will always be people from that background, from that core background. So the point is, it really depends on what kind of a job you want to do.
Whenever a student with full hope goes to apply to a company, resume screening is the first round which they encounters. So I would like to know few advices about resume building and like a few golden tips, or you can say fire brigade advice that no one should do, or everyone should do. Like, it's a very important thing to do, at least.
Yeah, so I think when you talk about your resumes, right, I think 3 things I would suggest that you should kind of follow, irrespective of what field you come from or which company you're applying to. First thing is just that make sure that you don't make your resume from the point of view of how good it's looking or pleasing to the eyes always. Now, I'm not saying that you just make it in a very shabby fashion, there's no formatting. No, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that it's not about the colors you use, about the, kind of symmetry and all of that, what icons have you used, and it's not about the aesthetics. A resume today is about how simplified it looks and what kind of content is there in it, just by glancing through it. If by skimming through your resume in 2 seconds, if I get the important keywords I was looking for, I will look at that resume as opposed to someone's very beautiful looking resume. Okay? So that's the first thing. Second thing that you should pay attention to is that you should try and, I would say, depending on the kind of job you're applying to, please try and align your resume that way. So for example, you could be somebody who has got both managerial and technical experience, but when you're applying to a very, very technical role, try and highlight more of the technical internships, more of the technical skills, more of the technical projects, more of the technical conferences above the others. I'm not saying remove the managerial experience, never do that, but keep that on top. Like what I used to do was all my projects were built because with respect to keeping in mind the ECE domain, right? I did no project as such in the managerial domain. So when I sat for consulting firms, but VIT gives us an option to do these university electives. So I did 1 or 2 management courses, and I had like research-based kind of projects where I had to build reports. So what I used to do is, whenever I sat for these management roles, I used to put those experiences above those basic research kind of projects also, because I knew it management companies would value it. So I'd done a project around 5 problems faced by Airbnb and how they can tackle it. So I did a complete research on it with the managerial perspective, that where are they going wrong in their operations, what are the issues and all. And I think when they used to see that, they used to obviously like it, in terms of them asking me questions and all, as opposed to if I would have kept a, car parking system project that I did in ECE, right? So it's all about what you highlight more of. Like if I was applying for an analyst role and I had an internship I'd done as an analyst, I would always put that internship above first. Then I would put all my other roles in marketing and content writing. Those small changes are needed, right? And the last thing is obviously customizing your resume according to the job role you're applying to. More so over when you're applying off campus.
Branch topper की सबसे अच्छी placement लग गई. This statement makes sense always, or how is the role of CGPA for applying to companies?
See, so पहली बात तो branch topper की सबसे अच्छी नहीं लगती है जो. That's not the reality at all. In fact, there have been so many people who are not the branch toppers and they get higher packages than the branch toppers. But in a college like VIT, does CGPA matter? It would be wrong to say that it does not matter, because it matters. It matters in multiple ways. I was only a 9-pointer till my first semester. Then my CGPA went down. Then after that, I kept trying to get it up. But ultimately, itni mehnat karke bhi, while graduating, I could get it up only till 8.93, which is a decent CGPA, but it's not a 9-point CGPA. So what I realized was, and for me, I was anyways picky. So management companies did not even have that criteria of 9 above. So I didn't face difficulties, to be honest. Okay. Mm-hmm. My CGPA was never an issue. In general, also, even if I think I had to sit for tech companies, 8.93 was a very decent CGPA to apply to any company. But the point is that when the initial cream companies come, your tech companies, when you talk about an Amazon or Wells Fargo or JP Morgan or all of these D. Shaw and Co., you cannot deny the fact that they do shortlist on the basis of CGPA. And they do shortlist the ones who have a 9 CGPA. And that's just the reality. In fact, that wave goes on for at least a month or 2. How much ever they may want to deny it, that's just the reality. They just filter the people out below 9. So I think it depends on your college. And in general, see, we cannot deny the fact, right? Having good academics will never be a downside for anybody. Having good marks is always going to help you in life. So if you have it, use it to your advantage. If you don't, you can always cover it up with a better profile, with good internships, with good overall 360-degree profile that you build for yourself. But On an average, if you really want to get into these top companies, which I spoke for technical roles, then yes, the people with a 9 pointer and above have a very big advantage over you. That is the reality in a college like VIT. Over and above that, no. Anybody can land any kind of a job. That's not a problem. You can do that.
So Dharya, you interacted with a lot of students as being a career coach, speak at lots of events. So what actually you think about platform like Simply Clarify? Do you think that it's gonna change the structure of career guidance that is coming ahead for students?
Yeah, I mean, see, it's not just because of the fact that, the alumni or the people who have founded it are from VIT. I think Simply Clarify in general, the kind of product that they are trying to build and what they're trying to do is honestly something which is needed for students in general. I wouldn't just say for people in VIT. Why? Because people are confused in general in life. I'm sure you were at some point of time, and going forward also everyone will be. No one has it all sorted, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And now, see, there are two categories of people. Some people who will go ahead and directly do a job. Second is who will go ahead and do a master's or an MBA. In both the cases, some amount of career guidance, knowing which colleges to choose, talking to the alumni, knowing what the cost heads would look like, because moving abroad or doing a degree from even your dream university is a big step for anybody, right? Knowing how to write your LORs, your SOPs, or connecting with people from different top global MNCs and knowing how to crack those interviews. This is something everybody honestly wants and needs. And if you're giving it to them in the form of a one-on-one mentorship or a consultation where you get personalized attention, that's just like a cherry on the cake or cherry on the top, right? Because what really happens is every student's case is different, right? And because I do so many mentoring sessions, I know what advice I can give to Shwetanshu cannot be the same as I'll give to some Rahul. It cannot be. Your goals, your aspirations, what you want from the call is different. So I think this is something which will really bridge the gap and can be something very revolutionary, especially for people wanting to go abroad, because they've brought in alumni from different universities, right? The top universities. I've also worked for some years and then gone and done their masters. Some who have not worked and directly gotten admits into their colleges. So I think when you learn firsthand from someone who has had the same experience as you, that kind of advice is, unmatched. So I truly believe that people who are looking for advice in general in terms of their career, university selection, and all of this, Simply Clarify will really help them with the entire process, right? So it can be a great platform to kind of go on to and book your calls. So yeah, I think that's my take on what they're trying to do, and it's great that a lot of people have started, seeing the importance of these calls. It was a pleasure being on the channel, and thank you so much for having me. And I just hope that people who probably tune into the video find some value out of it. Thank you once again for having me over.